Pain. That was the first thing Alex Carter felt when he opened his eyes. A deep, throbbing pain in his chest, his arms, his legs, his entire body. It was as if he had been crushed under something heavy and barely survived. His mind struggled to remember what had happened, but everything was blurry. The last thing he recalled was his spaceship's warning alarms blaring loudly. His mission had gone wrong. Something had attacked his ship, and then darkness. Now he was here. But where was here? The ceiling above him was smooth and metallic, glowing with soft blue light. This wasn't his ship. He tried to move, but his body refused to cooperate. A faint hiss of air sounded beside him, and he realized he was lying in some kind of medical pod. Tubes were connected to his arms, and a strange warm energy was flowing through them, making him feel weightless. Then he heard footsteps. Alex turned his head slowly, every movement making his muscles protest. A tall figure approached, dressed in sleek silver robes. At first, he thought it was a human woman, but as she stepped into the light, he realized she was something else, something alien. Her skin was a deep violet color, smooth like polished stone. Her golden eyes glowed softly, and her dark hair was braided in intricate patterns. She was beautiful, but in an otherworldly way. Her presence was calm yet commanding, as if she was used to being in control. "You are awake," she said, her voice carrying a melodic but firm tone. Alex tried to speak, but his throat was dry. He coughed, his body still weak. The alien woman touched a panel on the wall, and a robotic arm extended toward him, pressing a small device against his neck. Instantly, relief flooded his system, and he could breathe easier. "Where am I?" he finally managed to ask. "You are aboard the Veyari Empire's flagship, the Cerethus," she answered. "You were found drifting in space, severely injured. I am Dr. Zairava, Chief Medical Officer of this ship. I healed you." Alex processed her words slowly. Veyari Empire. He had heard of them. One of the many advanced civilizations humanity had recently made contact with. They were known to be honorable, but had strange traditions. Still, one thing was clear. This woman had saved his life. "Thank you," he said, his voice hoarse but sincere. Zairava gave a small nod, as if his gratitude was expected. But then she tilted her head slightly, her golden eyes watching him with an intensity that made him uneasy. "You should know," she continued, "that by our laws, saving a life creates a bond, a permanent one." Alex frowned. "What do you mean?" Zairava's lips curved slightly, though it wasn't quite a smile. "In the Veyari culture, a healer who saves another's life is bound to them. It is an ancient tradition. You are now my Veyara, my chosen mate." Silence filled the room. Alex blinked. Did he hear that right? His brain was still sluggish from whatever medicine they had given him, but surely she didn't just say, "mate." He repeated, almost choking on the word. "Yes," Zairava said simply. "By saving you, I have claimed you." Alex stared at her, waiting for some sign that she was joking. Maybe Veyari had a strange sense of humor. Maybe this was just some cultural misunderstanding. But no, she looked absolutely serious. He let out a weak laugh, shaking his head. "Okay, hold on. Humans don't work like that. Just because you saved me doesn't mean we're—" He gestured vaguely. "Together now." Zairava folded her arms. "It is not a choice, human. It is law." Alex groaned, rubbing his face. He had survived a deadly attack, barely escaped death, and now he was being told that he was married to an alien doctor. This had to be some kind of cosmic joke. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." He tried again. "Humans don't have this kind of bonding system. We choose our mates. We don't get assigned one just because we almost die." Zairava's expression didn't change. The bond has already been made. Alex exhaled sharply. He had dealt with difficult negotiations before. Hostile alien species, stubborn commanders, and unpredictable battlefields. But this was something else entirely. "So, what happens if I refuse?" he asked carefully. Zarava's golden eyes flickered with curiosity, as if she found his resistance amusing. "You cannot refuse," she said. "You are Vayara now. Wherever I go, you will follow." Alex stared at her. "That sounds a lot like kidnapping." Zarava arched a delicate eyebrow. "Kidnapping implies unwillingness. You are alive because of me. That is not something to resist. It is something to honor." Alex opened his mouth, then closed it. He had no idea how to argue with that logic. This was bad. He needed a plan. He needed to get off this ship. But as he looked at Zarava, standing tall and confident, he had the sinking feeling that escaping her would not be easy. And worse, a small part of him was starting to wonder if he even wanted to. Alex Carter sat up slowly in the medical pod, his muscles still sore but his mind now fully awake. His thoughts raced as he processed what the alien doctor had just told him. Mate. No, that couldn't be right. There had to be a mistake. Zarava stood beside him, her arms crossed, watching him with quiet confidence. Her golden eyes glowed slightly, making her look even more otherworldly. She wasn't threatening him, at least not directly. But the way she spoke, the certainty in her voice, made it clear that she truly believed in what she was saying. Alex took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Look, Dr. Zarava, I appreciate you saving my life. Really, I do. But humans don't have this bonding rule. We don't get assigned to someone just because they healed us." Zarava tilted her head slightly, as if considering his words. "I understand that humans value free choice," she said, "but in Vayari culture, saving a life creates a connection that cannot be broken. It is an ancient law, one that has been followed for generations." Alex ran a hand through his short brown hair, exhaling sharply. "Okay, but why? Why does your species have this rule? What's the point?" For the first time, Zarava's expression softened slightly. "Because life is sacred," she said simply. "To save another's life is to take responsibility for it. It is the greatest act of honor." Alex frowned. And what if the person who was saved doesn't want that responsibility? Zarava studied him for a long moment before replying. "That has never happened before." Alex blinked. "What?" "No Vayari has ever refused the bond," she continued. "To do so would be dishonorable. It would mean rejecting a gift beyond value." "Well, congratulations," Alex muttered. "I guess I'm making history." A small smile played at the corner of Zarava's lips, though she quickly hid it. "You are stubborn, human. I expected this." Alex groaned. "And I expected to wake up on my own ship, not in an alien hospital with a sudden space marriage hanging over my head." Zarava gave a small nod, as if acknowledging his frustration. "I will not force you to accept the bond emotionally," she said. "But legally, it is already done." Alex tensed. "What does that mean?" "It means that, according to Vayari law, you are bound to me," Zarava explained. "Where I go, you must go. If I am assigned to a mission, you will accompany me. If I return to my homeworld, you will come with me. You are now part of my house." Alex's stomach dropped. "So you're telling me I can't leave?" "That is correct." Alex swung his legs over the side of the medical pod, trying to stand. His legs felt weak, but he ignored it. He had been in worse situations before, and he wasn't about to let some strange alien law control his future. "There has to be a way out of this," he said. Zarava watched him carefully, as if waiting to see what he would do next. "If you wish to challenge the bond, you must prove that you are unworthy of it." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Unworthy? What does that even mean?" Zarava stepped closer, her golden eyes narrowing slightly. "You must prove that you are dishonorable, weak, or incapable of standing by my side." Alex let out a short laugh. "So you're saying the only way I can get out of this is if I make you hate me?" "Yes," Zarava said without hesitation. Alex sighed, rubbing his temples. This was getting worse by the second. And what if I just leave? Zarava's voice remained calm, but there was a sharpness to it. You will not get far. The Vayari honor system is not just law. It is respected by all our allies. If you attempt to run, you will find no support. Alex clenched his fists. He hated feeling trapped. Every instinct in his body told him to fight back, to resist. But looking at Zarava, he realized something. She wasn't his enemy. She wasn't trying to hurt him. She genuinely believed in this tradition. That made things more complicated. Alex took a deep breath. Okay, he said. Then let's make a deal. Zarava raised an eyebrow. A deal? Yes, Alex said. Give me a chance to prove that humans don't follow this rule. Let me show you that we choose our bonds. If, after some time, I still don't accept this whole mate thing, you let me go. Zarava considered his words carefully. The Vayari rarely made exceptions, but she was fascinated by this human's determination. Finally, she nodded. Very well, but until then, you remain under my care. Alex crossed his arms. And if I do something dishonorable, that breaks the bond, right? Zarava's lips twitched slightly. Yes, but I doubt you will. You do not seem the type. Alex smirked. We'll see about that. Zarava simply nodded, a knowing look in her golden eyes. We will. Alex had no idea how he was going to get out of this, but one thing was certain. He wasn't going to make it easy for her. And yet, a small part of him was starting to wonder. What if he didn't want to leave after all? Alex Carter wasn't the type to back down from a challenge, but this situation was something else. Being told he was now the mate of an alien doctor because she saved his life, that was insane. But if there was one thing he had learned from his years as a space explorer, it was that every species had its own customs. And sometimes, the best way to escape a situation was to play along, at least for a while. Zarava stood across from him, calm and composed as always. Her golden eyes watched him carefully, as if she was already predicting his next move. So, Alex said, crossing his arms, you said I have to prove I'm dishonorable if I want to break this bond. Zarava nodded. Yes. Alex smirked. Great. Then I'll start right now. With that, he kicked over a metal tray of medical tools beside him, sending them clattering to the floor. The sound echoed through the room. Zarava blinked. Then, slowly, she crouched down and picked up the tray, placing it back on the counter without a word. Alex frowned. That doesn't bother you. Zarava looked at him with something almost like amusement. That was childish, not dishonorable. Alex groaned. Okay, what about this? He grabbed a nearby water container and took a long sip, then spit the water onto the pristine floor. Zarava arched an elegant eyebrow. Are you a child, or do humans simply have poor manners? Alex clenched his jaw. Come on, how am I supposed to break this bond if you don't get mad? Zarava tilted her head slightly. Dishonor is not the same as foolishness, human. If you wish to prove yourself unworthy, you must do something truly disgraceful. Alex huffed, placing his hands on his hips. Like what? Zarava considered for a moment. Then she said, cowardice, deception, betrayal. These are actions that bring dishonor. Alex rolled his eyes. Great, so I either have to run away, lie, or stab someone in the back. Fantastic. Zarava's lips twitched, almost like she was trying not to smile. You may try, but I do not believe you will succeed. Alex narrowed his eyes. Oh, you think I can't be dishonorable? I do not think, Zarava said smoothly. I know. Alex exhaled sharply, frustration burning in his chest. Fine. If small acts wouldn't work, maybe he needed to go bigger. He straightened his posture. All right. Let's make a deal. Zarava folded her arms. I am listening. Alex smirked. Give me full access to this ship. Let me walk around, interact with the crew, go wherever I want. If I can't prove I'm dishonorable within a week, then I'll accept that I can't escape this." Zareva studied him carefully. She was silent for a long moment before finally nodding. "Very well. But there are rules." "Of course there are," Alex muttered. "You will not leave the ship," Zareva continued. "You will not endanger yourself or others. And you will not attempt to deceive the crew into believing you are something you are not." Alex held up his hands. "Got it. Just give me a fair shot." Zareva nodded once. "Then you may explore." She turned toward the door, and as it slid open, Alex followed her into the hallway. The challenge begins. The Seraphis was massive. The halls were sleek and metallic, glowing with soft blue and gold lighting. Everything felt advanced, more refined than most human ships. As Alex walked, he noticed several crew members staring at him, some curious, some indifferent. A tall, armored alien with dark blue skin approached them. His piercing silver eyes locked onto Alex before bowing slightly toward Zareva. "Doctor," he said in a deep voice. "Is this the human?" "Yes," Zareva confirmed. "Alex Carter." The warrior studied Alex, his expression unreadable. "I am Commander Veilcor." "It is unusual to see an off-worlder bound by the Veyari honor system. Trust me, it wasn't my idea," Alex muttered. Veilcor's lips twitched slightly, as if he was holding back a smirk. Then he turned to Zareva. "Shall I assign guards to ensure he does not attempt to flee?" "That will not be necessary," Zareva replied. "He will not run." Alex scoffed. "Oh, you don't know that." Zareva met his gaze, her golden eyes steady. "Yes, I do." Veilcor let out a low chuckle. "This will be interesting." Alex sighed and rubbed his forehead. He had only been awake for a few hours, and already he felt like he was losing control of the situation. "Well," he said, shaking off his frustration, "I guess I should get to work proving how terrible I am." Zareva simply gestured toward the hallway. "Then go. But remember, Alex Carter, you are being watched." Alex forced a confident grin. "Good. I like an audience." As he walked away, he could feel Zareva's gaze lingering on him. She was so sure he wouldn't break the bond, so sure that he wouldn't take the easy way out. And deep down, Alex was starting to wonder, what if she was right? Alex Carter wandered through the halls of the Seraphis, hands in his pockets, his mind racing. He had a week to prove himself unworthy of this so-called bond. Easy, right? Except it wasn't. Zareva's golden-eyed confidence annoyed him. She truly believed he wouldn't betray her, that he wouldn't run, that he wasn't capable of dishonor. And the worst part, he was starting to believe it too. But that didn't mean he was giving up. He just needed a better plan. As he turned a corner, he found himself in a massive training hall. The space was lined with advanced combat dummies, sparring mats, and weapon racks holding elegant-looking Veyari blades. A group of warriors were practicing hand-to-hand combat, their movements sharp and precise. And standing in the center of it all was Commander Veilcor. The tall, blue-skinned warrior noticed Alex immediately. His silver eyes gleamed with interest as he crossed his arms. "Ah, the human." Alex sighed. "Do I have a sign on my back or something?" Veilcor smirked. "No, but you are noticeable." Alex took that as a compliment. He stepped forward, glancing at the warriors training nearby. "So, what is this?" "Combat drills." Veilcor nodded. Veyari warriors must always be prepared for battle. Even in times of peace, strength must be maintained. Alex let out a low whistle. "Impressive. But tell me, Commander, does honor mean anything in combat?" Veilcor's expression darkened slightly. "Honor means everything in combat." Alex grinned. "Then I challenge you to a fight." The nearby warriors went silent. A few even turned their heads in surprise. Veilcor raised an eyebrow. You challenge me. Alex shrugged. Unless you're scared. A low chuckle rumbled from Velkor's chest. Brave words, human. But I accept. Zarava's voice interrupted before Alex could say anything. He will not fight you. Alex turned to see Zarava standing at the entrance of the hall, arms crossed. Her golden eyes were sharp, and for the first time, she looked slightly irritated. Velkor bowed his head slightly. Dr. Zarava. She stepped forward, her gaze locked onto Alex. What are you doing? Alex smirked, proving I'm dishonorable. Zarava frowned. By fighting. Yes, because if I lose, it means I was reckless and weak. If I win, it means I disrespected a superior officer. He crossed his arms. Either way, that's dishonorable, right? Zarava exhaled slowly. You do not understand Vayari honor. Velkor chuckled. Let him fight, Doctor. I am curious. Zarava hesitated, then finally sighed. Very well, but do not blame me when you fail. Alex grinned and stepped onto the sparring mat. The fight begins. Velkor removed his heavy armor, revealing a powerful battle-scarred form. He stood a full foot taller than Alex, his muscles like stone. Alex swallowed hard. Okay, maybe this was a bad idea. A training blade was tossed to him. The weapon was lighter than expected, but it felt solid in his grip. Velkor took his stance. Come, human. Alex took a deep breath and rushed forward, swinging the blade with all his strength. Velkor dodged effortlessly. Before Alex could react, a sharp force slammed into his side, sending him stumbling back. He barely managed to stay on his feet. Velkor wasn't even trying. Alex gritted his teeth and attacked again. This time faster, more calculated. He aimed for Velkor's side, hoping to land at least one hit. But the commander moved like lightning, blocking the strike and twisting Alex's wrist. The training blade flew from Alex's hand, clattering to the ground. And just like that, it was over. Velkor took a step back. You are skilled for a human, but you are no warrior. Alex groaned, rubbing his wrist. Well, that went great. The watching warriors chuckled softly. Even Zarava looked somewhat amused. Velkor stepped closer. You fought with heart, but you did not fight with dishonor. Alex frowned. What? Velkor nodded. You did not cheat. You did not beg for mercy. You faced defeat with dignity. He smirked. You have only proven your honor, human. Alex's stomach dropped. Zarava stepped beside him. It seems your plan has failed. Alex sighed in frustration. Why was it so hard to be dishonorable on this ship? As the warriors returned to training, Zarava placed a hand on his shoulder. You are not like us, Alex Carter, she said, but you are not without honor. Alex wanted to argue. He wanted to fight against this bond, against this strange new world. But deep down, he wasn't sure if he wanted to escape anymore. Alex Carter sat on the edge of a metal bench in the training hall, rubbing his sore wrist. His fight with Commander Velkor had been over embarrassingly fast, and now, instead of proving himself unworthy, he had somehow earned even more respect. This was not going according to plan. Nearby, Zarava stood with her usual calm expression, her golden eyes watching him closely. You are thinking too much, human. Alex groaned. Yeah, maybe that's because I still haven't found a way out of this bond. Zarava tilted her head slightly. And why do you still wish to escape? Alex sighed. Because I didn't ask for this. I didn't agree to be anyone's mate. He looked up at her. I respect you, Zarava. You saved my life. But I can't just accept something I didn't choose. Zarava studied him for a long moment. Then, to his surprise, she nodded. I understand. Alex blinked. Wait, you do? Yes, Zarava said simply. Honor is sacred to my people, but so is choice. If you truly do not wish for this bond, then I will find a way to release you. Alex stared at her. just like that. She nodded. For the first time since waking up on this ship, Alex felt conflicted. Zarava was giving him exactly what he wanted. So why did it feel wrong? Before he could think too much about it, the ship's alarm system suddenly blared through the halls. A sharp, high-pitched sound filled the air, followed by a deep mechanical voice. Warning. Unidentified ship APPOHing. All crew report to defensive positions. Zarava's expression hardened. Come. She turned sharply, and Alex followed her into the hallway, his heart pounding. Crew members rushed past them, moving with precision and purpose. The air was thick with tension. What's happening? Alex asked. Zarava didn't slow her pace. A foreign vessel is approaching without clearance. It could be a threat. As they entered the command deck, the large viewing screen showed a dark, jagged-looking ship hovering just outside the Sirithis. Its design was completely different from the smooth, elegant structure of the Vayari ship. Alex immediately recognized it. His stomach dropped. Pirates. Commander Veilcor turned toward him. You know them. Yeah, Alex said, his jaw tightening. They're a rogue group that attacks small ships and outposts. They don't negotiate. If they're here, they want something. As if on cue, a transmission came through. The screen flickered, and the image of a rough-looking alien with gray skin and sharp, glowing red eyes appeared. His mouth twisted into a cruel grin. This is Captain Drekvar of the Bloodfang, he growled. Surrender your ship, or we will take it by force. The command deck fell silent. Veilcor stepped forward. We do not surrender. Drekvar chuckled darkly. Then you will die. The screen cut off, and a second later, the ship shook violently as weapons fire struck the hull. Alex stumbled but quickly regained his balance. We need to move. Fast. Veilcor barked orders, and the crew rushed into action. The Sirithis returned fire, blue energy beams cutting through the darkness of space. The enemy ship dodged and weaved, attacking relentlessly. Zarava turned to Alex. Do you know their weaknesses? Alex nodded. Pirates aren't well organized. They're aggressive, but their ships aren't built for heavy combat. If we hit their thrusters, we can disable them. Veilcor smirked. Then let us strike where it hurts. As the battle raged on, a new problem emerged. A boarding party. A loud explosion rocked the lower levels of the ship. They've breached the cargo bay, a crew member reported. Veilcor clenched his fists. I will lead the warriors to push them back. Alex's instincts kicked in. He grabbed a small shock pistol from a nearby weapons rack. I'm coming with you. Zarava immediately grabbed his arm. No, you are not trained for this. Alex met her gaze, his expression firm. I'm not just going to sit here while your crew fights for their lives. I may not be Vayari, but I don't run from a fight. Zarava stared at him for a moment. Then, slowly, her grip loosened. Then stay close to me, she said. Together, they followed Veilcor and a group of warriors toward the cargo bay. The sound of battle echoed through the halls, shouting, clashing metal, the hum of energy weapons. As they entered the cargo area, Alex saw the pirates, tall, armored figures with glowing visors, wielding deadly weapons. They were already fighting against the Vayari warriors, but the pirates had numbers on their side. Alex didn't hesitate. He raised his pistol and fired, stunning one pirate before he could strike a Vayari soldier. Another pirate charged toward him. Alex barely dodged, rolling to the side. He turned to fire, but before he could pull the trigger, Zarava moved like lightning, blocking the pirate's weapon with her own blade. With a single swift motion, she knocked the enemy back, her golden eyes burning with determination. Alex had never seen anyone fight like that before. For a moment, their eyes met. And suddenly, Alex realized something. He didn't want to escape anymore. He wanted to stand by her side. Alex Carter moved quickly, his heart pounding as the battle in the cargo bay raged on. The pirates were strong, but the Vayari warriors were stronger. Every time Alex thought one of the pirates would overwhelm them, Zarava, or Commander Veilcor, would cut them down with swift, precise movements. But the fight wasn't over yet. A pirate with a massive energy axe charged toward Alex. He barely had time to react. He raised his shock pistol and fired, but the pirate dodged. The next second, Alex was thrown to the ground as the pirate slammed into him. Pain shot through Alex's body, but he gritted his teeth and rolled away before the axe could come down on him. The pirate lifted the weapon for another strike, but before he could attack, Zarava moved like lightning. Her golden eyes burned with intensity as she struck with her blade, slicing through the pirate's armor. The enemy let out a grunt of pain before collapsing. Zarava turned to Alex, reaching out a hand. "Are you hurt?" Alex took her hand and pulled himself up. "I'm fine." He exhaled heavily. "Thanks." She gave a small nod, then turned her attention back to the battle. Alex shook off the pain and jumped back into the fight. The Vayari warriors were pushing the pirates back, but the enemy wasn't giving up easily. Several pirates were trying to hack into the ship's systems, attempting to disable the defenses. "We need to stop them," Alex shouted, pointing toward the group of pirates working near a control panel. Veilcor nodded. "Take the left. I will take the right." Alex ran forward, dodging blaster fire. He took cover behind a crate and fired several precise shots, hitting two of the pirates before they could react. Veilcor charged in, smashing through the enemy ranks, his blade cutting through their weapons. Within moments, the remaining pirates in that section were defeated. But just when Alex thought they were winning, a deep, growling voice echoed through the cargo bay. "You have fought well," the voice said, "but now you face me." Alex turned to see Captain Drekvar standing at the entrance. He was taller than the other pirates, his armor thicker, his glowing red eyes locked onto Alex with amusement. "This ship," Drekvar said, "will belong to me." Alex tightened his grip on his pistol. "Not happening." Drekvar chuckled. "You are brave, human, but you are also weak. With inhuman speed." Drekvar lunged at Alex. Alex barely had time to react before he was knocked back, his weapon flying out of his hand. Pain exploded through his body as he hit the ground. Drekvar loomed over him, his massive blade raised. "This is the end for you." Before the weapon could strike, Kilang, Zarava blocked the attack, her golden eyes filled with fury. "You will not harm him," she said, her voice like steel. Drekvar growled. "Ah, the Vayari doctor. You fight well, but you cannot defeat me." Zarava didn't answer. Instead, she attacked, her blade moving so fast it was almost a blur. Drekvar blocked the first strike, then the second, but Zarava was relentless. She fought with the precision of a warrior and the determination of someone protecting something precious. Alex knew she was fighting for him. He couldn't just stand by. Ignoring the pain, Alex lunged toward his fallen weapon, grabbed it, and quickly adjusted the settings. His shock pistol had a high-energy mode, but it was risky. One wrong move, and he could damage the ship. But he didn't have a choice. Drekvar swung at Zarava, and she barely dodged in time. His strength was too great. If she kept blocking, eventually she would lose. Alex took aim. "Zarava, move," he shouted. She didn't hesitate. She dropped low, rolling to the side, just as Alex fired. The blast hit Drekvar directly in the chest. The pirate staggered, his armor sparking from the impact. He let out a furious roar, but before he could recover, Veilcor appeared behind him, striking with his own blade. Drekvar let out a strangled sound as the energy blade cut through his defenses. The pirate captain collapsed, his weapon falling from his hands. The remaining pirates, seeing their leader defeated, began retreating. Within minutes, the Vayari warriors had driven them out, sealing the breached cargo bay doors. The battle was over. Alex let out a long breath, his hand still shaking. He turned to Zarava. "Are you okay?" She studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Yes." Velkor approached them. "You fought well, human." He smirked. "Perhaps you are not as weak as I thought." Alex chuckled. "Thanks, I think." Zarava stepped closer to Alex, her expression unreadable. "You risked your life for me." Alex shrugged. "You did the same for me." He looked into her golden eyes. "That's what partners do, right?" For the first time, Zarava smiled, just slightly. "Perhaps," she said softly. Alex's heart pounded for a different reason now. He had spent so much time trying to fight this bond, trying to prove he didn't belong here. But now, he wasn't so sure anymore. Maybe, just maybe, he had found his place after all. The battle was over. The pirates had been defeated, their ship retreating into the vast darkness of space. The Seraphis had survived, though not without damage. The crew worked quickly, repairing the breached cargo bay and securing the ship's defenses. Alex Carter stood near the entrance of the cargo bay, watching the Vayari warriors move with precision and efficiency. His body ached from the fight, but he barely noticed. His mind was elsewhere, on the woman who had saved him more than once. Zarava. She stood near a control panel, speaking with Commander Velkor, who nodded in approval before walking away. When she turned, her golden eyes met Alex's. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then she walked toward him. "You are hurt," she said, her voice calm but firm. Alex gave a tired chuckle. "You should see the other guy." Zarava didn't smile, but there was a flicker of amusement in her eyes. "Come with me. I will treat your wounds." Alex hesitated, not because he didn't want her help, but because he knew something had changed. Something inside him. Still, he followed her to the medical bay. Zarava worked in silence, carefully scanning his injuries. Most were bruises and minor cuts, nothing serious. But Alex barely noticed the pain. He was too focused on the way her hands moved with such care, the way her golden eyes studied him with something deeper than duty. He had fought so hard against the bond she claimed they shared. But now, after everything, he finally understood. It wasn't about ownership or control. It was about trust. About choosing to stand by someone's side. "I was wrong," Alex said suddenly. Zarava paused, looking up at him. "About what?" He took a breath. "About this bond. I thought it was something forced on me, something I had to escape. But now, I realize." He met her gaze. "It's not something I want to run from anymore." Zarava tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Then you have made your choice." Alex nodded. "Yeah, I have." He smirked. "Looks like I'm stuck with you, huh?" For the first time, Zarava truly smiled. It was small, but it was there, a warmth in her expression that Alex had never seen before. "You were never stuck," she said softly. "You were always free to choose." Alex's chest tightened at her words. He had thought he was alone, just another human trying to survive in the galaxy. But now he had a place, a team, a purpose, and someone who would stand by his side, always. Later, as the ship's systems stabilized, Velkor gathered the crew in the command deck. "The battle is over," he declared. "The Seraphis stand strong. We have defended our honor." A cheer arose from the warriors. The ship had survived, and so had its people. Velkor turned to Alex. "You fought with us, blood with us, and you have earned my respect." His voice was firm. "If you wish it, you may stay among us, not as a captive, but as an ally." Alex looked around at the crew. He had spent so much time trying to escape, trying to prove he didn't belong. But now, standing here, he knew the truth. He did belong. He looked at Zarava, who met his gaze with quiet confidence. "I'll stay," Alex said, his voice steady. "I'm exactly where I need to be." Velkor nodded. "Then welcome, Alex Carter." May your path be honored among the Veyari. The crew cheered again, but all Alex could focus on was Zarava. She didn't speak, but she didn't have to. Because in her eyes, Alex sought everything he needed to know. This was his new life, his new family. And no matter what came next, he wouldn't face it alone. The end.